I want to give a huge shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and also creating an amazing all-in-one platform that's helping me grow and launch my brand. Within the first couple minutes, someone said, "Where's mom?" We're all in working relationships at this point. Was he there all the time? No, because he was working. I just set her in the tray on the security belt, and the TSA agent said, "You can't do that." You know, my mom started being like, look at how emotional Brendan is. Like, that could have been you, blah, blah. Just a dad with 2 kids, like, wow. All right, so if you're just tuning into this channel, my name's Brendan Follis. Today, I'm gonna be talking about being a dad. I'm a husband, I'm a DJ, I'm a creator, an influencer, a connector, an entrepreneur. I am a father to my son, Preston.
Wow, I have a good idea. So every Sunday we get big things.
And my daughter, Claude.
I put that.
He is currently 4, she's about 1.5 or 19 months. If you're striving to be a dad in the future, if you're working to be a dad actively now and you're having trouble, if you're a dad now and you're loving it but need advice, if you think you're a super dad and you are a super dad, and I just hope some dads, some fathers, some papas, as I like to be called, see this and find some wisdom within it, or some passion to push forward, being one, creating a life, raising a life, inspiring a life. My goal was always, in my head loosely, I just want to have a child by the time I was 40. Call it late if you will. Times have changed. We're not having, majority of people aren't having babies when they're 20. I certainly didn't even know who I was when I was 20. I was still figuring out who I was when I was 30. I was 33 when I met my wife, and we took 5 years to get married, 7 years to get married, engaged for 2 years along the way. And then, so 40 was just kind of this loose idea of when I would like to have a kid. We were trying just before then, and we got pregnant during my 40th year on this earth. It took us a while, bunch of pregnancy tests failed, and then finally one was positive, and we had a miscarriage. We got through that, then we tried again and again and again, nothing was working, seeing doctors, etc. Decided to go the IVF route. That wasn't that easy. You can check out one of our previous vlogs and understand how difficult that journey was in general, but that video is probably one of the most powerful videos that we put out. So that was hard. We got there, we have kids, we bring them into the world, we have one, then we have another one, and you're just learning so much along the way about being a responsible parent, a responsible partner. There's so many things to touch on. So there's little snippets of advice throughout all this that I've just come to figure out myself, or someone's mentioned to me and I've kind of evolved into my own practice. But first and foremost, your kids wouldn't exist without your relationship. And I think a lot of people forget that first. What I mean by that is, your love brought these kids into the world, or your situation with your partner brought these kids into the world. So you're married, dating, what have you, and you've created this bond with your partner. That's the most important thing. And it's hard to prioritize that when you have kids, because you want to put them first and hold them up here as the trophy, and it's amazing. You're so happy. Obviously the struggle, everything, or if it came easily, you just created a life, so it's a beautiful thing. So you really want to, celebrate that and celebrate it constantly. But what I think a lot of people fail to realize and continue to do is focus on the foundational love that you have with your partner. And if you don't have that and you let that go, the foundation starts to crumble. And that is so important. I just can't stress how important it is to find your time with your partner, to keep the love strong, because your kids can feel that. The energy in your home is so evident. And if you have bad energy and you don't want to be together and you can't find time to be together, and you want to be with your wife, but your wife's so focused on the kids that you can't find time for her, or I'm saying this is in my situation, but like, I want to be with my kids so much I can't find time to even see my wife, or hug my wife, go on a date with my wife, all these things. So make time, first and foremost, for your partner. Schedule those times like a meeting. It's a date night once a month. It's, let's go get foot massages together. Bring flowers home once a month. Cook a meal once a month. It doesn't have to be these extravagant things. It can be a staycation in your city. It doesn't have to be, I'm taking you away to like your favorite place you've always dreamed of going. Obviously that is a great idea, and if you can afford it and do it, cool, and if you can make the time within work, etc. But it can be just as simple as her favorite flower. Find the time to do something your partner wants to do, and don't be selfish about it, doing something you want to do. I think that's where a lot of people fail, and I see it, and I've watched it happen in my family in the past. It's like, don't project the things you want to do and think your partner wants to do them. Like, if you truly understand your partner, you know what makes them happy and what will give them some sort of anxiety release and stress release. And so what we do, we schedule date nights. We really enjoy going out together and having a meal and eating and just breaking bread and trying a new restaurant. It makes us happy. It's like one of the things we love to do. When I proposed to my wife, I took her on this tapas tour because we didn't have a lot of money and wanted to try all these restaurants. There's never really time to try all the restaurants. So we would go and have an appetizer at one place, a main at another, and a dessert at another, and a cocktail at each along the way. So it was like you could knock off 3 places, and I'd double her on my bike to go do that. And that's part of my proposal, was part of that. But that was our fun date thing to do. So now we just go to one restaurant, and we kind of have a list of places we like to hit, and we find our date nights, and we have a live-in nanny now, so that's helpful to have a babysitter. That is a big thing for us, and then travel really makes us happy. So we're fortunate enough to get to do that through work. So those couple of trips for us are just so important to reset and talk and find the love for each other and experience things together that then we can have a great memory of. So number 1 is your foundation. Find time for your love, because your kids will feel it. Number 2, I think, is, being a dad is being present. Doesn't mean you have to be a helicopter parent. Doesn't mean you have to be at every game, taking them to school, picking them up from school, cooking every meal. There's all sorts of ways to be present in your kids' lives, and you need to also establish your boundaries within your life and your children's lives. And it's a little difficult to explain because everyone's scenario is different. I find my time daily. So I'm an early riser. Today we built magnet tiles in the morning, and then we made like these jellyfish that float in the water. I get my time in the morning with my kids, so I'm able to be present during those moments, and I'm not on my phone, I'm hanging out, not on the computer. We're just spending quality time together in the mornings, which is great. And we're creating traditions of the vitamin gummies and whatever they're into at the time. Like, it was cereal mornings, and Dad would make cereal with bananas and fruit. And, my son is in school now, my daughter isn't. So there's multiple times in the day. Luckily, we live locally to where their school is. And I kind of work from home and in office space and meetings, et cetera. So I'm able to pop in and out during the day. So I have all these multiple touch points. So I feel present at times during the day as well with my kids. I'm able to get them up from a nap, or take my daughter for a walk midday. And then dinner time is actually a struggle right now because they won't eat if I'm around, but if I'm not around, they will eat. So a lot of times I'll kind of go to our bedroom and just do some work during dinner just so they can eat all the food, because they get so excited when I'm around. But then I love bath and shower time. There's being physically present, but then there's just being mentally present and trying to involve yourselves in their lives at multiple levels. And what I try and do with my son is, you learn so much from the internet and Instagram, TikTok, et cetera, YouTube. I used to, ask my son, like, how was school today? And I realized, like, I didn't like that when my parents would be like, speak French, because I was in French immersion, or tell me about school. Like, that's kind of your moment where you exist. So sometimes you don't want to share it. So I've taken that out completely, and now I'm more, welcome home. So happy you're here. Like, what do you want to do now that you're home? Let's build something. Let's get creative. Let's think on blah, blah, blah. Or like, there's tons of like little traditions we have and ways to get info out of them, and then they'll start talking and sharing experience. But being present mentally with them and understanding their home, this is a place where they feel good and safe and can talk, but not forceful, is a super important way to be present with them, if that makes sense. Then, activities on the weekends. We have Preston playing tennis, just super fun, and then we get croissants after, and he loves the chocolate croissants. That's like our weekend thing, and he'll come get coffee. And my daughter is, again, like a year and a half, she's making coffee with me every morning, a thing my son and I did, but like holding everything. Do you want to make coffee? Coffee, coffee, coffee. And we come make coffee together, which is super fun. And just teaching them manners, teaching them language skills and social skills and just life skills in general, I think it's important, and I really see so much benefit in it. I also get such a rewarding feeling when you see your kids start to take on these things and your little habits and your language cues, and they start to use. It's just such a beautiful thing. So that's another good tip. So, your foundation of your love, being present in the home and out of the home. Number 3 is respect and trust. Respect and trust. You want them to trust you. You want to trust them that they'll do things, but they're children, so you don't really trust them a lot. And then they start to realize you don't trust them because, they spill things and you kind of freak out or whatever, break something accidentally, and you're just kind of dealing with these emotions as you go through them, and you've never dealt with these things before. You're a new parent, so you're trying to understand how to apply them, how to compile the info and get it out in a good way without being aggressive or too soft or blah, blah, blah. But there's all sorts of ways that you can trust and respect your children. And hear me out on this, because there's some interesting ways that I think we've parented our kids so far, obviously we're only a couple of years in, that have been interesting and allow our kids to feel like a little more independent than I think they would feel otherwise. There's a theory which I really like, which if you're spoon feeding your kid, if you're taking the spoon physically, airplane, whatever you want, into their mouth, they're at such a young age where they're learning. That overarching effect is that someone will always hand them something. They don't have to learn to do it themselves. An independence factor in there, there's an ego factor in there, there's a respect factor. There's so many things involved with that one act. So if you think about that in the grand scheme of everything and then start to use that in an overarching way for your kids, so finishing their homework when they're older, or doing it for them just because you can get it done faster and you want to be helpful, not helpful. Legos, we build a ton of Legos right now with my son. At the start, I love building Legos, so I was building them with him, and then I'm like, wait, you're not really gonna learn, so let him try, and then I can't do it, Papa. You can, keep trying, and then if he really can't, I'll step in and help him. Otherwise, I used to help him turn the page because 2 would get stuck and he'd miss instructions. But now it's just, he's got it down because I've trusted him to get it done himself, which he's done and learned. It's that mentality that you're nurturing. Will they be strong, independent, strong-willed enough to go get things done themselves? I don't know, but I like that theory around it. A lot of times we're just cutting up their food all the time. We're tying up their shoes. We're pulling their pants up. We're putting the shirts on. And it's like, no, you gotta learn how to operate in the real world at a certain level. So let's start to allow you to do those things so you can feel confident and comfortable and happy and fulfilled when you get them done. And I think animals at the core, they're out there just learning how to fly out of the nest or learning how to go get their own food to survive. And we've taken that away. So, you gotta give them some elements to trust themselves. They're understanding that you trust them, and that gives them a level of confidence to move about in their circles and your house and their school. It's kind of unmatched. And we've seen that work for us. So what I find interesting about being a dad and why I wanted to do a vlog like this in general is because, again, as I mentioned at the start, people don't see dads, they do way more now with children strapped on their chest or whatever it may be. But my wife, we had a wedding to go to in London. I was planning on going, and then we were gonna fly back, and then we were gonna get our kids, and we were gonna go to Sicily. I ended up having to DJ an event in Miami, and I couldn't go to the wedding anyway. Make some extra cash before the trip, come home, and I decided I'm gonna take the kids to Italy, and we'll meet you there. You go to the wedding and enjoy yourself. Happy for you to do it. And I'm going to take the kids on a 14 hours, but 17 with the layover, trip to Sicily, solo, because our nanny was not coming to Europe with us. So I went to the airport, checked in, fine, our flight was at 11 o'clock, so way past our kids' bedtime, they're all sorts of crazy. As I'm going through security with 2 kids, a stroller, a kid on a suitcase, and just me, within the first couple minutes, someone said, "Where's mom?" Which, luckily mom's just at a wedding, but what if mom didn't make it through birth? Or what if we're divorced? Or what if she had an accident, wasn't with us? Like, such a crazy question asked, but I get it. Once I got to security, that was also crazy because what do you do when you don't have an extra hand? Our baby couldn't walk yet, our daughter, so I just set her in the tray on the security belt, and the TSA agent said, "You can't do that." And I said, "I'm sorry, sir, I've got no one to hand this baby to, so where am I putting this baby?" So that was funny. Anyway, get through there, and everyone's like, oh, dad, look at dad doing it. Oh, you're just a dad with 2 kids, like, wow. And I realized moms are doing this all the time. That's just normal, every day for a single mom to be traveling through airport or the grocery store. Single moms are superheroes. First of all, I couldn't even imagine doing it. But 2, the fact that dads aren't doing these things more often, the fact that it's a surprise that a dad had 2 kids, like young babies moving around, rather than like dad traveling with 2 14-year-old and a 16-year-old, like no one's batting an eyelash. But I just found it so interesting that everyone is almost like applauding you that you're doing it, like, well done, never seen this happen before. It's like, even when I got on the plane, like, where's you're just traveling with your kids alone? Oh my gosh, like this is crazy. It is for anyone. It is for a man, a woman, whatever parent is doing it solo. It's a big lift. But like, and even asking my wife or telling this story to multiple friends afterwards, like everyone's like, yeah, like you got the praise because you're a dad doing it. And I think that's kind of crazy and sad and interesting. And I just learned a lot from that day with my kids, and I ended up having a really amazing day from a bonding perspective because we learned a lot. There's so many things I learned about traveling solo. First of all, I wanted to document the whole thing for YouTube. Didn't even have a free hand. Now I'd wear like those Ray-Ban Meta glasses and record the whole thing. You can never go to the bathroom alone, which is a funny thing. Like I get all settled and take the kids to the bathroom and everything. Then I realize like, we're in our chairs in the airport in front of the gate, and I'm like, wait, I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like we all gotta go again. We gotta pick everything up. Can't ask someone to watch your kids like in an international airport. It's scary. I think as dads, we need to be more independent with our kids publicly, if that makes sense. It's kind of a weird thing, but like, take your daughter or your son as a baby to get coffee without mom. Like do things without mom too. Like obviously doing things as a family is amazing, but mom's doing a lot of those things because I think obviously it all stems from past work life of like going back to the 50s, 60s, 40s, 30s, like dad works, mom stays home. So everyone's like inclined to think that mom has infinite amount of time to spend with kids and dad has to go see the people and, work in the full-time job. It's like times have changed, This is my job, by the way. Like creating content is the bulk of my job at this point. So like being present with my kids is awesome and finding time to do things with them is awesome. And just because I do this doesn't mean if you work a full-time 9-to-5 job, you can't find time to do things with your kids independently from your partner or your wife or your husband. Go for the early morning walk with your kid. If you're jogging early morning, like jog with your kid, put your kid in the stroller, go for a jog, do the things, like get out there on the weekends. Like it shouldn't be such a shock to see a dad doing those things because A, we are capable, B, we have time, we can find time, and C, in this day and age, like a lot of moms, they get way too short of a mat leave in the US, I think, I'm from Canada. But, we're all in working relationships at this point, husbands, wives, we're all partners, we're all working our butts off to, create these lives we strive to live. So to wrap this up and why I think this is important, let me just touch on my own history. So, it was a different time when my dad was a dad. He still is a dad, sorry. When my dad was a new dad and raising us. It was, late 70s, early 80s. And it was the classic, as I just mentioned, dad's at work, mom stays home. My dad is a kind of a career lawyer. He just loves his work. He's super passionate about his career and his time there. So he, spent all his time there. And was he there all the time? No, because he was working, because that's what he understood as success on a personal front and as a parent front. Working is all part of how that success came and how he provided for our family. My mom, super present, around all the time. We had a babysitter all the time as well, who would come over a couple days a week, help out. Again, he was there for me playing sports. He would taught me so many things about how to build, how to cut the lawn, all the laborious skills, which I really pride myself on now for having work ethic and integrity about what I do. My father gave me all that, and I'm super passionate about pushing that narrative along for my son and teaching him that how hard you have to work for things and how nothing in this world is free. You know, super grateful for my father for instilling those things in me and understanding how to work with my hands to build tangible things that then you have a reward of after by holding. You know, my dad taught me so many things, and I don't discount them at any time, but it's funny because now I'm super loving, emotional. You know, I love to kiss my kids, I love to hold my kids, I love to tell them how much I love them every day, I love to be around as much as I can while creating my boundaries for my life and work. But you know, my mom started being like, look at how emotional Brendan is, like, that could have been you, blah, blah. And like, you can't reverse time. That was just a different time. It's cool now, cooler, in my opinion, it's really cool to be an emotional dad, to be a loving dad, and a physically emotional dad, holding your kids and dressing them and loving them and feeding them and hanging with them and all the things that weren't as cool in the past. But it's a different time, and the internet has made it a different time, and we're able to see and share and champion our kids more at home than we used to. So I think it's an awesome thing. And I think dads have come a long way. That's a lot of info. I guess it's like my own podcast of sorts. I'm just talking, but I want to start sharing what's in here with you guys a little more. So thanks for watching. Any comments, advice, questions, leave down below. Also leave an email address here so you can email me with any of your thoughts, anything you want to hear more about. Be a good dad, all right? All right, so as you know, first of all, thanks for watching that video. It's, I'm passionate about being a dad, so you saw at the start of this video, it's brought to you by Squarespace. They've been such a great partner to me. I want to tell you about 3 amazing features that Squarespace has for you to use to get your business up and running or your idea to market. So first of all is their design intelligence feature, which allows you to unlock your creative potential through an AI experience. So they have years and years and years of design experience, and they've kind of bulked it all into AI, and you can just plug and play and put exactly what you want creatively into the prompt, and it will spit out an amazing version for you. I'm about to redesign my whole website, my whole brand experience, my newsletter, everything, and I will be using the design intelligence feature. It's a no-brainer. Number 2 is Squarespace Payments. Super simple onboarding process, and you can get people to check out. So buy your product, 1 click out, and you can do ACH payments, Apple Pay, Afterpay, and even ClearPay for the UK, people in the UK. So check that out. That makes it super simple for you to get your product out there to market, whether it's a PDF with info on it about your knowledge, what you know, and advice, whether it's an actual tangible product like me. I put my coffee cups out, my coffee beans, all the things. That is a simple plug and play Squarespace payment service. Number 3 is selling content. So just like you have to check out, you have to create the need, demand, and want for that product first. So the selling content feature is really good because you can put things behind a paywall. So you could tease kind of what it's about and give the customers just a little tidbit of what's going on, but then behind the paywall you get more. So you could set up, for me, like vlogs. I could be like, hey, this is, kind of an intro into my family, but I'm going to allow you to see more through this paywall, or get more from this newsletter by subscribing here, paying here, and getting a product behind the paywall. So that's another great feature. Anyway, check out Squarespace. Use this code right down here. There's it right below, right there, and you can get 10% off as a first-time user on the domain for Squarespace. So check it out. Thank you, Squarespace, for being part of this. Thank you guys for watching. Please click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.